Everyone. A warm welcome to all of you gathered here. The topic for today is India in 2030, envisioning the nation's socio-economic landscape powered by Innov8 Talks. The first aspect we'll be covering today is future of the jewelry industry in 2030, evolution and innovation, which will be led by Mr. Abhishek San. Mr. San is the co-founder and director of Savio Jewellery. He holds key positions in the jewelry industry, serving as an executive committee member of the Jewelers Association Jaipur. He is also the treasurer of the Sitapura Gem and Jewelry Industry Association and an executive committee member of GJEPC International Exhibitions. His notable contributions and leadership in the field have been recognized with the prestigious 40 Under 40 award. Additionally, a significant milestone for Savio Jewellery is being recorded in the Guinness World Records from 2015 to 2018 for achieving the most diamonds set in one ring, showcasing the company's commitment to excellence and innovation. For the same, they were also awarded by the President of India, late Shri Pranab Mukherjee, at the President Office. So without any further ado, let's give a loud round of applause for Mr. Abhishek San.
Hi. Hello. I'm audible? Can we have the slide? Okay, so the topic is future of the jewelry industry in 2030. Now let's start introducing India. India is a beautiful country, and there is a beautiful quote by Raymond Page: waking up in India is like waking up to the life itself. Now India is basically culturally diversified. It has a great sense of originality. It has a great sense of uniqueness and creativity. And the gems and jewelry industry is majorly benefited because of that uniqueness and originality. Now, what is the current jewelry scenario? If we see the current jewelry scenario, you'll be amazed that 5,000 to 10,000 new jewelers are entering in this gems and jewelry industry. It was said to be the ancestral business earlier, but today we are experiencing new jewelers entering in this business. Anyone sitting here who is planning to come in the gems and jewelry sector, definitely this is the industry to be in. That is the graph of rise that we are expecting the new jewelers to come in the industry. Now let's understand the market analysis. What's the global market share of gems and jewelry? It's standing at $216.48 billion in 2022, and we are expecting a rise by 50%, and it will reach to $308.36 billion of gems and jewelry global market share. Now, needless to say, India will be playing a major role in this advancement. That's the graph we are aiming at, and definitely India will be contributing a large part. Now, what is the export scenario? Nevertheless, in the current financial year, we have seen a dip in the export, but yes, because of the sustainable practices, technological advancement, high-skilled government support, definitely India is going to make its mark in the high export arena. So today we are standing at the 5th rank in the global export with 4.7% share of the global export, and we are expecting to reach at 3rd position with 10% share of the global export. So export is definitely a market that you should aim at and go ahead. Now, what is the complete world looking at? They are looking at the Indian economy, because definitely that line is there. Indian economy is at boom. Anything, any sector in India is going very high. Today we are contributing around 6 to 7% of the gems and jewelry industry for the national GDP, but we are expecting a rise by 2.5 times to 17% in the future. Right now, the market size is $43.7 billion of the gems and jewelry. 4 lakh to 5 lakh jewelry stores are there in India, and approximately 5 million people are involved in this gems and jewelry industry. Now, the vocal for local is the great saying by the government of India, and it has helped incredibly. India is now sustainable. They are producing what they were importing, and India is becoming bigger and bigger. Now, that is the graph I was talking about, that India is contributing 7% of the national GDP, and we are expecting it to grow by 17.35 in 2030. Now, let's start the next session with a beautiful line. Every great design begins with an even better story. So we have experienced in last 3 years, designer jewelry is moving crazily. It's going way beyond. And the era till 2030, in the coming 7 years, you'll experience a greater rise in the designer jewelry. A one-of-a-kind piece, exclusive piece, bold statements, that is the jewelry that will make its mark by 2030. And including that, a lot of fancy shapes. The old conventional round shape is moving out. Today we are experiencing a lot of fancy shapes like moon cut, tapers, and even a pie cut or even a kite shape doing really well, not just in diamonds, but even in gemstones. So the fancy shape era has arrived. Now this is one of the most burning points. If you see any Instagram, any account on Facebook, any influencer, everyone is talking about gemstones. Gemstone is not just an emerald. Every piece of emerald possesses a different character. A sense of originality, a sense of uniqueness is there in every stone. That's the reason gemstone is making its mark, and it's not anymore of only precious like emerald, ruby, and blue sapphire. It's with kunzite. All the semi-precious stones like tanzanite, kunzite, kyanite are making their way in the gems and jewelry industry. And gemstone will be the future in 2030 as well. Now, this is a very interesting fact. Today in India, we stand at only 10% of the total gems and jewelry industry as an organized sector. Now, this is very crucial because we have seen players like Aditya Birla, Joy Alucas, Joss Alucas, Tanishq, and even bigger brands coming in the industry and making it organized. You could not see this 10 years back, and today these players are making the industry on whole organized. So they have worked very hard on vertical integrations, like from the supply chains. They have worked from the bottom till the top within the company. They have worked on ethical sourcing, compliance, transparency, and it's making the industry organized. Now this is the graph. Today we are standing at 10% at the total gems and jewelry industry of India as being organized, and we are expecting it to rise till 40% share. So if you are planning of any organized sector in gems and jewelry, you're going on the right track. You will have a great future. Now this organized sector helps in IPO. I'll give you an example. In December 2023, there was a public offer of a gems and jewelry share at 55 rupees. And it opened and oversubscribed by 189 times. It opened at 108 rupees this December 2023. So you can understand the level of trust of a shareholder is there on gems and jewelry industry. So in the current year and in the coming years, you'll see a lot of companies going IPO and getting public listed, and a lot of fund will be coming in gems and jewelry sector. This is all because the gems and jewelry sector is getting organized. This is the graph. It's definitely going higher by 2030. Now, one of the most important thing is that government has worked very hard on infrastructure. Today, you see government is working and providing a lot of subsidies on infrastructure facilities. Earlier, it was all outsourcing. You give your work to babus and they are doing in their premises. But in last 2 years, you have seen greater factories coming up. You have seen bigger setups coming up. And by 2030, you can expect bigger and bigger infrastructure. Gems and jewelry is now getting into an industry form for sure. So there is a great support from government, and definitely the infrastructure is the go-to thing. Now, in the COVID time, people have understood that online jewelry is the way through. If you're working in the online sector, you will be having a fantastic future. Just imagine the percentage we were experiencing in the last 10 years at 8.64 annual growth, and today we are experiencing 19.56% annual growth in the online sector. So you can imagine in 2030 where you'll be at the online sector. And it's just not the online sector, it's definitely a great rise from the share as well. 0.85 in 2020 US billion dollars, what we stand at online sector, and by 2030 we are assuming it to reach by 10 billion US dollar in the online share. Now this is one of the most important thing. There is a very cool question today that if you are in a B2B zone, should you be there in the social media? And the answer is, of course, yes. If you are there in a B2B arena and you're not there in the social media, you are losing on the business, because even your B2B customer today is coming, seeing your social media presence, and then doing the business. So yes, a B2B company needs to be there on social media. We are experiencing a great level of investments going high in the social media arena, and there are online selling on social media as well through Instagram. We are experiencing around 50% of the total budget of the expenditure going on social media. So yes, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn are just going to go high by 2030 even more. Now in the last 2-3 years, we have experienced that brands like Louis Vuitton, Cartier, Tiffany, Bulgari are doing fantastically well in India. And that's the reason that people are looking at branded jewelry. And that is going to happen in gems and jewelry sector as well. People will buy branded stuff. If you're investing in brand today, definitely by 2030, you'll be a stable brand, and definitely you'll have a great response in the branded jewelry also. So Indian branded jewelry will do fantastically well. Now let's take an example of a technology. Earlier, India was importing findings. Today, India is exporting findings. So a lot of help from the government has helped in the technological upgradation. Now if we stand in India, earlier era you have seen everything manufactured by hand. And any quality manufactured in China and Hong Kong is far superior. The only difference is technology. Today with the government support, today with the technology being produced in India, we are seeing a fantastic equal product, and the export quality is manufactured in India. So technology is definitely upgrading Indian finesse, Indian product, and making India to go higher and higher in export. So let me conclude with a line that the future ahead is definitely the innovative designer jewelry. It is definitely that India will make a global recognition, and the technology, tradition, and sustainability is definitely there in India, which will make 2030 Indian economy at a boom. Thank you, everyone. If there are any questions I can take up? So I'll give you a great example. See, what is handmade? Handmade is something which is unique and very nicely done and one-of-a-kind piece. But same thing, if you can upgrade the finishing and do it by machine, and the output is much more better. The same design remains same, but the finishing is at the international level. Why would you avoid it? Just take an example of a CAM machine. Today we have a CPX machine wherein you just put the design and the gold piece comes out. That is the process. And if you are cutting anything by hand, and if you are manufacturing anything by machine, definitely the machine output will be better. So in order not to just limit yourself within the domestic market for like 5-10 people or maybe 1,000 people in India, just go global. If you're going abroad, people want finishing, and handmade jewelry is not the right way to get into the export market. And secondly, technology is definitely the go-through. If you are upgrading your technology, you're not just a local and Indian jeweler, you will be an export jeweler. So definitely work on technology, work on machinery, avoid handmade. Even if you understand and go around, there is Polki jewelry in the market, right? Earlier, everything in Polki was made on hand. If you go and see their setup today, everything is made through CAM machine. And they're producing better, their efficiency is better, their time dependency is gone, they're not dependent on labor anymore, they can produce and run the machine, they can buy multiple machines, produce 5 times faster with a lesser capacity. And depending on just technology will upgrade your timelines as well in supplying the orders. So handmade is always limited and this will help you in upgrading. Yeah. Any other questions that I can take up?
Academies and institutes coming up in future, the opportunities of
So there is a great capacity because right now, as I said, that earlier it was all outsourcing. People used to send designs from, buy designs from outside. People used to get the pieces manufactured from outside. But today, people are doing a setup. Now, setup requires a set of designers. Setup requires a set of manufacturing facilities. Setup requires a lot of people as a manpower. So all these designing institutes will now have a bigger buyer in the form of industries which are getting set up every year in every zone. Like I'm there in Sitapur Association, I've closely seen in last 15 years, we have got around 100 companies. And in last 2 years, there are 50 new companies setting up their plant with a minimum manpower of 20 to 500 people. So that is the scale that everyone is now growing. A smaller unit in Jewellery Bazaar is now moving in Sitapura industrial area just to build a proper manufacturing infrastructure. So that will eventually help all these designer institutes and the companies who are doing designing courses to send their designers to these companies, and it will be a much better infrastructure to work in. 100%. India is now getting corporate. Like I said, the organized sector, you can never imagine Aditya Birla coming in gems and jewelry sector, and they are coming big. Reliance is doing fantastic. You have seen the growth rate of Tanish. All these organized sectors were not there in the industry because the sector was unorganized. They would only work in an organized structure. That's their thumb rule. But today, we are seeing a rise in the organized buyers. That's why the organized sector is improving. And these people will set up their own infrastructure. So obviously, corporate training and everything is required for these setup. Any other question, if anyone wants to take? I think it was conclusive. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abhishek, for this insightful session. I would now like to call upon Mr. Surya Narayan Rao, who is the Regional Director of the Southern Region from GJEPC, to felicitate our speaker.